wrapping up 2015 by heading back to the 1960s. It looks like Sons of Liberty's plot was so polarizing at the time that Hideo Kojima stepped back a bit and decided to make something more concise, if that's a way of putting it. Snake Eater was released in late 2004, but there was plenty of screen time during the build-up, and the one thing the creators were hell-bent on reassuring was that you were controlling Snake from beginning to end. But let's think back. The 1960s? There's no way in hell this could be the same Solid Snake, unless he was a damn good-looking senior citizen by the time of Metal Gear Solid. There was only one logical explanation. Solid, Liquid, and Solid Snake were all clones of one man in his prime, and that was this guy. This Snake was actually the one and only Big Boss, and we were getting an origin story. I'd imagine the premise alone was very interesting to longtime Metal Gear fans. Big Boss was once a good guy? What caused him to turn? Did he turn at all? All the more reason to play the game. As previously, I wanted to illuminate on something before getting started, and as I stated in the MGS2 review, Metal Gear Solid 3 had a re-release titled Subsistence. The HD edition, the one I'm reviewing, is based off of this version, but not entirely. The original Subsistence on the PlayStation 2 had 2 additional discs containing bonus content. This includes an online mode that's now defunct as the servers are offline, a secret theater showcasing a bunch of humorous outtakes, and an extension of the Snake vs. Monkey minigame, a crossover between Metal Gear and the Ape Escape series that was a part of the original release of Snake Eater, mind you. But Subsistence added 2 levels exclusive to that version. Ape Escape 3 on the PlayStation 2 also had a crossover with Metal Gear, I should clarify. It was called Metal Gear Salad, and from what I've seen on YouTube, it looked charming as shit. But all that bonus stuff along with the Snake vs. Monkey minigame were not included in the HD edition. The Ape Escape stuff I can understand, it's a property of Sony and the HD editions were multi-platform, but the secret theater content and duel mode, which was essentially a boss rush, were cut off. I was planning on showcasing the Snake vs. Monkey game at least, since you can easily watch the secret theater videos on YouTube, and the third disc was nothing but a remastered cut of all the game's cinematics. But shockingly, the Essentials collection on the PlayStation 2, which I should add is exclusive to the PlayStation 2, downright omitted the other discs for Subsistence. I don't have the original Snake Eater anymore. This was the version I bought when I wanted to add it back to my collection, but why the fuck is it missing the other discs? Are they not essential? They don't have the title screen still say disc 1. You're gonna confuse the shit out of someone. I thought my collection was borked at first. So bottom line being, if you want the Snake vs. Monkey stuff and all the other things that I mentioned, you buy the PS2 standalone copy of Subsistence. And no, they're not in the 3DS version either. I'll get to that later. Jesus Christ, I am so glad this is the last time I have to worry about major re-releases and all that other shit. At least I hope so. Okay then, let's get on with the story.
After the end of World War II, the world was split into 2, East and West. This marked the beginning of the era called the Cold War.
That opening text couldn't have said it better. It's the 1960s, a time of counterculture, beehive hairdos, the Beatles, and political unrest. CIA operative John, under orders from the newly created Fox unit, is sent on a one-man sneaking mission to infiltrate the USSR. He's given the code name of Naked Snake since he's heading into enemy territory without any weapons. Makes me wonder how Solid Snake got his code name. I mean, Solid, Liquid, and Solidus are obvious plays in the state of matter, but I mean within the series. Maybe it's a dick joke? I don't know. Anywho, the mission is a simple one. Snake is sent to rescue a man named Sokolov, a Russian scientist who defected to the United States with his family some time ago, but was forcibly taken back to the Soviet Union after the Cuban Missile Crisis to develop an advanced nuclear-equipped tank called the Shagohod. You were expecting Metal Gear, weren't you? Nope, not this time. Kind of makes the title of the game incorrect. It should be Shagohod Solid. Oh, wait, hold on a second. We're not even playing a Solid Snake this time. It should be Shagohod Naked. Accompanying Snake via radio transmission is the Fox unit, commanded by Major Zero. There's also Paramedic, providing insight on medical treatment and the things Snake can eat to survive in the jungle, and later on Sigint, an expert on weapons and technology. He's also the younger version of the DARPA chief Donald Anderson, not that that has any bearing on anything. Finally, Snake is also joined by the Boss. We're never given her a real name, but she's Snake's mentor, and considering how the man is capable of handling himself, I think the name fits. The mission goes smoothly at first. Not long after landing in the Russian jungle, Sokolov is found safe and sound, if a little shaken. The timid scientist believes a power-hungry man named Colonel Volgin is after his invention, and he's meaning to use the Shagohod to take control of Russia and bring about a new definition of World War. The Shagohod is close to completion, but not finished yet, so there's still time to stop his ambitions. Snake proceeds to get Sokolov to safety, but he's shortly interrupted by a faction of Volgin's men, led by a young pretty boy named Ocelot. Okay, he's a cocky little shit, but Snake is quick to demonstrate on how he's the boss. Well, Boss Jr., I guess. But as he continues to the rendezvous point, the two are unexpectedly greeted by the boss, who shockingly claims that she's defecting to the Soviet Union and joining up with Colonel Volgin, who's there to probably laugh in Snake's face. She, along with her Cobra unit, takes Sokolov away. Snake is sent flying off a bridge to die, and Colonel Volgin uses a nuclear missile given to him by the boss to blow up Sokolov's research facility, hoping to frame the United States for the nuclear attack within Soviet Union parameters. And this being the Cold War, you bet your ass that plan works. During a secret phone conversation with the President of the United States, the leader of the Soviet Union, Khrushchev, is about to pin the blame on the USA for the nuclear explosion, but he's willing to give the United States a week to prove that they aren't responsible. Otherwise, nuclear war is quite clearly inevitable. Hence Operation Snake Eater. Snake survived his little scuffle with the boss, and after a few days in a hospital bed, he's sent yet again on another sneaking mission to not only clear his country's name, but to save Sokolov, destroy the Shagohai, put an end to Colonel Volgin's reign, and to eliminate the boss. That's a lot to do for one man, but he's once again joined by the Fox unit, and courtesy of Khrushchev, a KGB spy named Eva, a femme fatale who uses her sexual appeal to infiltrate Volgin's ranks and feed Snake info from within. And surprisingly, this is where things get very standard for Metal Gear. Snake learns of Sokolov's location. He's deep inside the base of Volgin's fortress, Groznygrad. And with the help of Eva, he eventually makes his way to the fortified base, encountering the Ocelot gang on occasion and the boss's Cobra unit. And I don't mean to make it sound like I'm skimming over certain things, but compared to the Rogue Foxhound unit in Metal Gear Solid 1 and the Sons of Liberty in Metal Gear Solid 2, the Cobra unit is very basic. They have a gimmick and that's all they're worth. They don't say much, they just have their orders, and that's their purpose. Ocelot is given more screen time for obvious reasons, and as such gets more development, and I'm okay with that. This story is primarily about Naked Snake. I don't need a bunch of people heavily expositing on his feelings in battle or his purpose in life. I mean, that still happens on occasion here. That's a thing I'd rather see for myself rather than have it spelt out for me in 10-minute long monologues. So Snake reaches Groznygrad and locates Sokolov, but Volgin is able to see through his disguise and, using his electric powers, proceeds to beat the fuck out of him. It's a gruesome torture sequence. It also explains why Big Boss wears an eye patch in future games. Good God. We're given some insight on Volgin at this point. Volgin's army and his fortress are all thanks to the Philosopher's Legacy, a massive collection of funds secretly made between the US, China, and the Soviet Union as part of a pact to shape the world into how they see fit. The owners of this legacy, known as the Philosophers, meant to use the $100 billion sum to steer the world away from warfare, but Volgin was able to illegally claim this money for himself to jumpstart his psychopathic career, and now he believes the United States and the Soviet Union are trying to get the legacy back. And just in case you're suspicious, yes, the Philosophers are a precursor to the Patriots. We'll save that for Metal Gear Solid 4. After another brutal round of torture, Snake is able to escape the base and meet up with Eva to ensure a final line of attack, to plant C3 across the Shagohod's fuel lines and blow the entire fortress up sky high. Volgin steps in, but Snake gets the upper hand with the help of Ocelot, who begins to respect Snake more as a soldier as the mission continues, but Volgin isn't done yet. He boards the Shagohod and attempts to take down Snake and Eva with a gargantuan tank, but even that is no match for a good old-fashioned RPG and ironically a bolt of lightning. Volgin's dead, but the boss remains. One last climatic encounter is had, ending with Snake as the eventual victor. It's kind of hard to keep this woman down. God damn it. The boss hands over to Snake the microfilm containing the location of the Philosopher's Legacy and requests that Snake end her life, with the torn man begrudgingly doing so. The day is saved, with Snake and Eva celebrating a victory toast somewhere in Alaska, but when Snake wakes up the next day, he's found alone and the microfilm missing. An audio tape left by Eva reveals that she wasn't a KGB spy, but a secret government agent from the Republic of China. Her mission was to discover the location of the Philosopher's Legacy for the sake of China, and that the boss's defection to the Soviet Union was in fact a ploy of the United States to ultimately learn of the location of the legacy for the US. The mentor Snake thought turned traitor was remaining loyal to her country all along. The boss was used as a scapegoat for the nuclear attack, and he was used as a lapdog sent to not only clear the United States' name, but to get the legacy back. At an award ceremony, Snake's given the title of Big Boss for his service to the country and for surpassing the boss, but it's clearly not a happy ending, and after the credits, Ocelot reveals that the microfilm Eva took from Snake was a fake, and that the legacy is back in America's hands. Ocelot was working for the CIA the entire time. The plot summary tells all. This is a much simpler story. This game doesn't even have any of those mission briefings the first two Solid games had. It doesn't require knowledge of any other game through supplementary material. You can jump right in, and I believe that was totally the intent. While still containing enough layers to fit in the Metal Gear saga, the subject matter is easier to grasp, heroes and villains are clear-cut, it's a reflection of its era. The 60s were seen as a simpler time. In terms of fiction, don't get me wrong. Without having to worry much in connecting the dots here and there, Snake Eater yearns to be something more conventional. What Snake Eater lacks in complexity, it makes up for in character. This might be a slight exaggeration, but I think Sons of Liberty scared people away from the Solid series. The Patriots, censorship, digital information, the fuck? People often like to compare this to a James Bond movie. Now, maybe that's only because of the Snake Eater theme, and I would probably agree if I actually cared for the series, but the differences are apparent. The story has action, it has drama, it has character-driven conflict, and it has a sense of humor.
No, not just an urge. More than that. It was my destiny to be here. In the box.
The villains are pretty cut and dry. I already mentioned how insignificant the Cobra unit was, but this also extends to Volgan in some sense. He's almost one note, but damn, am I not intimidated by his battle tactics. The boss and everything surrounding her purpose is the true villain of the story. I think it would be a bit of a stretch to say that America or the Philosophers was the actual villain, but in Snake's case, they might as well be. And speaking of him, this guy's a total teddy bear and I love him. He's very likable and feels like someone I can share a cup of coffee with. And you know what made me gravitate to him immediately, and I know this is going to sound weird to some, but it's around the start of the game where Snake's scouting out the upcoming area, he sees the active beehive and what he can do with that, and right there, that fucking smile. And he does it again during his first confrontation with Ocelot. I love that. No one else has shown emotion like this in the heat of the fight so far in the series, and I love Solid Snake as a badass and Raiden for the same reason to some extent, but there's no attachment there. I'm interested to see what they go through, but I don't connect with them as characters, even when that was supposed to be the entire point with Raiden. This is a guy I'm happy to sneak around with, and I'm damn sure that was done on purpose to make his eventual turn all the more heart-wrenching. He's gruff and battle-hardened, but holds on to enough human traits to make his conversations with his operatives informative, humorous, and in some cases socially awkward.
You should come inside the box. Then you'll know what I mean.
Man, I don't want to know what you mean.
He's damn good at what he does, but the boss's defection puts him on an emotional struggle he has the hardest time fighting against because of his personal feelings towards her. And in my opinion, that's the real plot of Snake Eater. The Cold War, the Shagohod, the Philosopher's Legacy, I mean, that's all there to help fill out the narrative to sink your teeth in, and it works. But my eyes and ears are on Naked Snake the whole way through. A part of that is because I know of the man's eventual fate, but within the context of Snake Eater, I believe it works just as well. But this sort of comes at a cost. Naked Snake is developed well, but the Fox unit is left hung to dry, so to speak. They're more complementary to Snake's development, rather than getting individualized character arcs. The most I know about Major Zero is that he's British and he likes Bond movies. Paramedics' love of all things Japan and geek culture only serves to give Snake some interesting conversations between the two, and if making Sigint a young version of the DARPA chief from MGS1 was supposed to mean something, I don't see it. The Fox unit is great for flavor text, but only flavor text, which is disappointing considering how important they are for Snake's support. The pacing is about the only concern I have with Snake Eater's story. As much as I enjoy it, it's uneven as fuck. The start of the game is about an hour of cutscenes and about 20 minutes of gameplay. After that, the cutscenes are still chatty, but there's definitely more game to go around, about an even 50-50 ratio. Then around the climax, it slows to a crawl again, and I would say that begins with the Shagohod battle. And combined with the whole escorting Eva out of the forest sequence, the final confrontation with the boss, escaping out of the area with the plane, and finally the ending, goddamn, I am wiped out. Snake Eater is a self-contained story. There are some loose ends there just in case you want to look into the series, a benefit I think it has over the original Metal Gear Solid, but if you want to experience Snake Eater for its own merits, I think you can totally do that.
No, that wasn't as long as Metal Gear Solid 2. Is it a sign? Am I home free? Oh, fuck, you're shaking your head. Okay, well, let's dive into the game. That's certainly easier to do all the time.
Snake Eater brings some new things, but it's largely the same when it comes to controlling Snake and how he handles weapons. Now there's a higher emphasis on close quarters combat, or CQC. It's basically an extension of the things you can do in earlier games, and depending on how you approach the enemy, you can get them in a hold for a throat slit, or you can interrogate them for some useful hints about the area. And if that's too classy for you, you can give unsuspecting soldiers a hard slam to the ground, instantly knocking them out. This is one of my favorite maneuvers in the whole series. I don't know whether it's because it's easy to do or the sound of the impact. Listen to it again. Tasty. Even when you're in a bind, the CQC slam is great for cutting down numbers in your favor, and that isn't an impractical strategy by any means. It's a totally feasible thing to do. Assuming you're not going in guns a-blazing, there's a strict limit on the guards that pop up during an alert phase, so eventually, through non-lethal means, you can take care of the opposition and move on, and that's if you're making contact with the enemy soldiers at all. I remembered, when I first played Snake Eater nearly 10 years ago, I thought that was going to be tough. We're in the 1960s, technology's limited. We don't have a Soliton radar system anymore, we got this battery-powered sonar and motion detector, which are jack shit, and they don't even give me a field of vision. But then I began to realize in Snake Eater they aren't really required. This is a jungle setting, natural, bumpy, unpredictable, and filled with blind spots. Areas can range from familiar urban locations to vast jungles that are some of the most open environments so far in the series. This means you're able to really get a feel of your surroundings with first-person mode and not have to worry about things like cement walls getting in your way. In Subsistence and the HD edition, you can even toggle the camera to be free roaming, giving you full three-dimensional access. Yes, believe it or not, this was considered new for Metal Gear in 2004 because until then the camera was largely fixed. Now, I never found that a problem. I always thought Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 were designed well enough around the fixed camera, with the Soliton radar in first-person mode helping me see where my eyes couldn't, but I will admit having a free camera is nice, and it does help cover everything. There's next to no background music when sneaking through the jungle, and it is bothersome in some cases, but I understand why it was done. It's to make you really absorb the jungle ambience and to help you focus on getting through. A big selling point of Snake Eater is camouflage. That camo index up there represents how well Snake blends into the environment, so the higher the number, the more invisible you are to the enemy. You raise the camo index by doing things like hiding in large tufts of grass or by going into your backpack and changing up your battle fatigues to something more appropriate for the current environment. This even extends to face paint. You can decorate your face with a handful of options, or hey, you wear the riding mask if you like MGS2. Oh my. Guards on patrol have a routine, but they are much slower on the walk. Look at this guy. It's like a Sunday stroll for him. It's fucking Wednesday! So with good camouflage and with the larger areas making it easier to plan a sneaking route, engaging the enemy should be easier to avoid. And please, for your sake, try not to fight anyone. And it's not because of the immediate danger, it's the other thing Snake Eater adds, which I can't find any enjoyment out of, the survival viewer. On occasion, you may notice your health bar bleed. I think that's what the red area means, but this means Snake is suffering from an ongoing injury, fractured bones, a searing burn, or severe lacerations. When any of this occurs, you need to go into the survival viewer to treat the injury with medical supplies. And with how many items you're given, running out of supplies is never the problem. It's going into the survival viewer frequently that takes a big steaming dump on the flow of the gameplay. Let's compare. This is you healing yourself in Metal Gear Solid. This is you healing yourself in Metal Gear Solid 3. Now imagine doing that over and over again. It's the main reason why I don't look forward to boss fights this time. I mean, they're great when it comes to how they're handled, except for this guy at the end. I was given the early kill or born to death by setting the system clock a week ahead. I have no shame, leave me alone. Boss fights will waste no time giving you serious injuries, and every time it happens, that's you pausing the game to treat the injury. It sucks. And healing injuries doesn't even restore life, it just stops the injury. Your life now naturally regenerates over time, and that can be accelerated by having good stamina. That's the little meter you see under your life bar. Another major point of Snake Eater is eating. The jungle in many areas around it is bursting with local flora and fauna and a shitload of animals, and Snake is required to kill or capture food to stay alive and to keep in good shape. Now this I don't mind so much. They give you so many options to consider. Running out of stamina should never ever be a cause for concern. But it's not as frequent for one thing, and hearing Snake comment on the food selection is somewhat endearing.
I want some more.
The survival viewer is a nagging concern, I'll never shake that, but I'm not stupid enough to let that blind me for what Snake Eater does right. I love how this game is structured. Good lord, this game is just constantly changing it up. It never feels repetitive, except during this long-ass ladder climb. What the fuck is up with this part? Oh wait, I forgot my gun. Better take the shortcut. I'm noticing new details over the tiniest of things, stuff I can probably spend a whole video on if Catechris didn't already do that. I'm not sure, did he? And get this, there's next to no backtracking. There's next to no backtracking. Hallelujah! How many times have I brought that up during this marathon? A lot, right? Oh man, it feels good. Don't have to worry about going back here or there all the goddamn time, just awaiting what's ahead of me, and that's the way I like it in Metal Gear. Snake Eater is a great time. It's got an easy to follow story, one that doesn't require any previous baggage, and the stealth gameplay has been fine-tuned in all the right areas. It's got a great camera system, and CQC is amazingly satisfying to pull off. One more time, that impact. It's not quite perfect yet. I believe Snake is a bit stiff around the knees when sneaking, walking, and crawling. There are times where I want to go from a crawling stance to a standing position, but since the button is pressure sensitive, Snake sometimes only enters a crouching position, and since I'm already holding up on the controller thinking I'll move up, this often sends me right back to a crawling position, and that's aggravating as fuck during boss fights. But it doesn't happen enough times to affect the fun I have with Snake Eater wholly. And there are a couple ways to play this, whether it's on the PS2, the Subsistence re-release, or the HD edition on the PSN and Xbox Live. But Nintendo 3DS owners are also in luck, in some sense, with Snake Eater 3D. It has all the trimmings that make Snake Eater the great game it is, and you know what? If you look past the smaller native resolution of the 3DS screen, the game actually looks better than the original. There's more detail on the models. It looks nice, but fuck me this frame rate. Look at this shit. It's almost Sega CD, PlayStation 1 FMV quality. It's like 12 frames per second, Jesus Christ, and no, playing it on the new 3DS XL doesn't enhance performance. And at first, the 3DS control scheme was super fucking awkward. With every other version of Snake Eater, you're using a controller with 4 shoulder buttons and 2 analog sticks. The 3DS only has 2 shoulder buttons and 1 analog stick, so workarounds had to be created. The face buttons control the camera. That's right, the face buttons control the camera. Now personally, I don't get why they didn't just restore the camera to its fixed variety like the original rendition of Snake Eater on the PS2, where camera control wasn't needed and therefore freeing up the face buttons for action commands, but they were insistent in keeping the free roaming camera even for Snake Eater 3D. The D-pad is used for context-sensitive actions and for entering a crawl position. The shoulder buttons and touchscreen are used for everything else. CQC, weapons. The best I can tell you is that it was something I got used to, but it took some time. I think playing Snake Eater on the PS3 beforehand didn't help my muscle memory. Even when you use the Circle Pad Pro or play it on the new 3DS XL, the face buttons are still camera control. Snake Eater 3D incorporates third-person aiming, if shooting on the first person bothers you, I suppose, and crouch walking. Would you believe that something like this, something that would be integral to a stealth game, wouldn't be incorporated until Metal Gear Solid 4? Yeah, it took them that long, but man, is it an awesome addition and great for keeping you out of sight. It's a great middle ground between sneaking and crawling. You're not sticking your neck out so obviously, it's a comfortable walking speed, and your camo index remains at a reasonably high level. It makes the game easier, I think. You want to know what sort of breaks it? The new photo camo feature. With your 3DS camera, you can use the pictures of whatever you snapped to make brand new camouflage for Snake to wear. And with the right photos, you can easily get your camo index to 100%. If you don't know what that means, it means you're practically invisible, even if the enemy is right on top of you. That's right. I'm not really here. I'm a snake. It's an ambitious effort, but it's not the way I would play Snake Eater. This is a heavily story-driven game, one I don't think translates well into the handheld scene. This isn't something you play in short bursts. There's no such thing as short bursts in any sense with Snake Eater. It's got long cutscenes, codec conversations. You don't put the 3DS in sleep mode during all that. It's important shit. Maybe if it were more mission-based, but that's not the case. Snake Eater's not a portable game. It's meant for a console. But if you have no other option, it's still a good version of the game. Just don't take it on a bus ride to work. You'll never finish it. 2016 is upon us, and I plan on making a special video to commemorate such an event. But I promise now, even greater things to come. We're at the halfway point of the Metal Gear Marathon, but next time isn't Metal Gear Solid 4. I'm making a slight detour to the handheld scene. No, it's not Snake Eater 3D again. I'm talking two games here. Metal Gear Ghost Babel for the Game Boy Color and Portable Ops for the PlayStation Portable. 2016 begins with more Metal Gear, and I'm excited to head into new territory here. I never played these games before. But with all that said, thank you guys for watching. You have yourselves a fantastic night and a happy new year.